Yeah, so sorry no video on Saturday night tonight. This is why. You may have noticed in the video when I was out with Scott. I've never brought any of those cough sweets. Damn. I gradually just got my health deteriorated. I lost my voice and everything. Actually, it's kind of still a bit bassy. You may have noticed. So that's me just past the Balloch roundabout. So today I was going about how the scenery in Scotland's pretty good. Well, I'm going to my favourite place of all time. A place called it's just past Strucker on Loch Fyne, Fyne. Yeah, so currently I'm still in the lowlands, but Loch Lomond is right there. And if anyone who knows about Glasgow, Loch Lomond's like half an hour away from Glasgow, something like that. Gets you sort of here. And here, everything changes. The world, all the shit stays back there. I'm going up to see my two wee brothers and my dad. The first time we've probably been together in a long time. I've not been up here for at least 3 or 4 years. I think the last time I was here was 7. The most amazing place in the world. And literally an hour and a half away from Glasgow, so I've got an hour odd to go. Maybe a little bit less than an hour. Just going past Cameron House Marina, which is, there used to be a boat show me and my dad used to get invited to, because basically to fill out the numbers from Prosser's the boat show. Even though I don't know if he ever actually bought a boat off them. We used to go and we were there to make everyone feel a bit better than we were. You know, it's like you go in and it's like every single person would be wearing all the sailing gear, you know, Douglas Gill and all that, very well-to-do people, and me and Dad were just scum. So, you know, real boaters, not marina boaters, although my dad now is a marina boater, so I'd imagine he'd be dressed up in all the Douglas Gill stuff and all that as well. It used to, back in the day, it used to be like what I'm wearing just now, jeans with the legs cut off and a grotty t-shirt. Converse All-Stars. Your old Converse All-Stars, doesn't matter if they get wet. That's boating. I don't think there's actually, there might be a boat at the chalet. Only a wee 3-metre rib though, which I think in the best well in the world, I don't think you can get 4 people in to go for a boat jaunt. Although, to be honest, it might be possible. I don't know. Yeah, so I'm going to talk for a wee bit just now, but we're just coming up to the Highland boundary here, which is in line with Connick Hill on the the east side of Loch Lomond, and then these hills on the right. There isn't a sign that says Highland boundary, but if you look at a map, it's there. And this is where we start to get a bit of scenery, which you don't get anywhere else. Well, once you start going very far up North Scotland, it gets even better, but we're starting to get a taste of it shortly. I'm just looking at didn't get as much reaction to the saying that Harley Benton was shocking as I thought we would. Maybe it's just taking a while to filter through the internet. I do have some download videos which I've uploaded, but I'm not going to put them out. I don't think you really want to see them. I'll put them out as a bit of a, I don't want to compromise Wayne. I don't think anyone from this bastard council will be doing that. They're trying to stop his pension fuck up because he had like a heart attack and all that. He did go to download, but we did take it pretty easy. I was very, very conscious the whole time that if he started looking wobbly, it was just going to carry him to a medical tent. But I kind of don't want that to be used as evidence to screw him, basically. So I don't want to put them up. It's quite interesting watching it. The GoPro's quite bad. I think because I was drunk, I forgot it was on my head. It wasn't that drunk. It wasn't so much drunk. It was just the whole exposure thing. And yes, drinking all day, but really, you know, drinking like 4 beers during the day doesn't equate to how drunk you get, or how just basically exhausted and too much sun, too much air, all that. I mean, I think that's what's wrong with me. I'm totally convinced. Yesterday, even before I went out to Scots, I got to throw a, oh Jesus, oh. That'll be the brakes getting slammed on because somebody's decided to. What's going on? You can see the road's completely clear ahead, and then 10 cars, and then nobody turned off. No, somebody obviously just decided, I think I'll slam the brakes on. So I need to be a little bit wary of that. Other bastards on the roads, basically. There's nothing there. There's nobody turned off, no junction. Just for some reason, we went from 50 mile an hour to 10 mile an hour. So I'm just terrified that that's going to happen again. So what I'm going to do is I'm not going to sit that close to the car in front of me. Lochs 4, Tarmac 12, Glenlarrick 28, Campbelltown 110. Campbelltown's pretty far away, and the difference with this Lochs is it's far enough, it's just on the edge of civilization as we know it. When you get to Campbelltown, you're talking about another hour or something on wee stupid windy roads. I mean, stunning looking roads, but the long and winding road, hence why Paul McCartney wrote the long and winding road about that road. I've still got, my throat is absolutely ripping. I don't feel nearly as bad. I had a lemsip for breakfast. I was meant to go up to the chalet last night, or yesterday, with my dad. I just stayed in bed all day. I think I just needed time to recover more from download. I've been doing too much. Because I was away for a week, I ended up with tons of like a backlog of shit to do, so I ended up just basically just getting up at 8 in the morning and working, and then I say working, working on guitars, and then I've been out in the car so much. This is the first day I've not been in the car for a few hours. Not that I'm regretting going to Glenrothes and buying that. Tuesday I went and did that swap, even though I was not well. So I got the orange app to get rid of the SG before I changed my mind. The guy, oh God, I can't believe it. I've gone and forgotten his name again. I was going to make it, I forgot his name when I was mentioning the video. And then I was even mentioned, you got a message from last night saying he's kind of doing the same thing as what I did with the SG. You get it and go, yeah, I'm going to paint it, I'm going to paint it, I'm going to paint it, and then the more you look at it, the more you kind of go, well, not really that bad. And the thing is, it plays really well, and it kind of suits it. So I don't know what he's going to do. He said he was maybe talking about painting it turquoise, which would be quite interesting. That's kind of similar to what I was going to do. I was going to paint it yellow, but it's the same sort of thing. So, you know, I don't even know whether I've just driven past Lochs or not. Not that long since I was up here. Upload's just there. The angle of the camera slightly, you might. Camping management zone? What the hell's that mean? It'll be the usual, same with the slipway at Lochs. Fine, everyone's fine, if everyone's nice, absolutely no problem. But you get arseholes. And for me it was people with jet skis for some reason. And you know, it's like, it used to be free to use the slipway, which was fine, you know, everyone was just, you get your boat ready in the car park, all ready, everything done, so you've just got one rope, you reverse the car down, unclip the rope, walk your boat out, turn the pontoon, back in the car, up again. 5 minutes max, maybe even 3 minutes or something I could do it in. And then you get people who decide that they're going to reverse onto the slipway, taking it up, and then they'll start taking all the ropes off their boat, and then they'll get changed into the wet. So someone would just take half an hour, 45 minutes, and they're just like utter bastards. And jet skiers are bastards as well. I don't know why. I mean, jet skis look like fun, but I don't know why. I don't know why the people that drive them are all dicks. But they all just seem to be. I was like, oh, there's somebody. Look, there's some people relaxing, having a picnic. Let's go and do donuts around them. And let's be honest, a boat sounds really nice. It's got a sort of warble, and it's like it's a steady. And a boat, you don't have brakes, so you basically just go to the speed you're going to, and if you want to slow down, you just turn the throttle down. So it's always a nice sort of with a sort of bubbles and some splashes. Whereas jet skis are just and it's just like, oh, go to fuck off. Yeah, so we're now at Lochs. Have you ever watched Take the High Road? Which I don't think's been on the telly for about 20 years. It was filmed in Glendarach, which was a fictional place but was Lochs. I might actually turn around and start. Now we're going to maybe start seeing some decent scenery. So currently I think we're about 45 minutes away from Glasgow, something like that. And this is the new road, which I remember before this road was built, when it used to be a wee windy one, but that was 20 years ago. That's Ben Lomond, the hill up there, which I think is it a Monroe? I can't remember. Of course, at this time of year you can't see the loch because of the trees. In the winter, which we used to come up here, when I was younger, we were up here, the family came up here pretty much every weekend. How many weeks are there in a year? 52? Let's say minimum 40 weeks of the year I was up here. This is when I grew up. That's why I'm a bit of a weirdie. That's why I never watched telly when I was a kid. Why would you watch telly when you get this sort of shit? I mean, okay, is the view thing starting to sort of kick in a wee bit now? I'm feeling actually a little bit emotional just because we're back here. Yeah. So there goes for my turning the camera around and stopping talking. Not going to happen. But I said that, if I speed it up, there's no audio anyway, so I might have a go and try to put some music on it. I'm going to get myself a better editing program, or an editing program rather than just using Windows Movie Maker. It kind of does the job, but okay. It's a Saturday, it's 5 to 12 in the afternoon, there's going to be queues of traffic. I'm going to come up here. I do have my boot space. Oh, that's a new term I hadn't thought of for my, the wee red base, which I'm going to keep in the car. Well, I'm keeping it in the boot. So it's a boot base. That's the trunk for the Americans. I just spent all day when I'm here. Still got a ripping throat, coughing, horrible. Just couldn't face it. Woke up this morning, felt like shit. Took a COVID test just to make. I'm pure convinced I've got it. I'm pure convinced I've got. It's not the same as I had last time, but I've got that sort of. When you get the shivers and the sweats when you get the flu. I've kind of got that going on, and a really sore throat. And on Wednesday or something, I must have blown a pint of snot through my nose. There's a good place to camp. Just camp on a beach like that. That's River Dennon on the other side. We're now coming up to Inverbeg, I think it's called. The caravan site here. You often see water skiers, although it's quite windy. So it used to be a saying when we were up to Jali, if it was rough, if it wasn't windy, right, okay, it would be calm. But if it was windy and it was calm in Loch Lomond, which it kind of is, it meant that it was going to be rough on Loch Fyne just because of the way the angles of the loch go. Loch Lomond's freshwater, by the way. And then the Worms of Cockles, there's all the flags. So what do we have? Oh, there is a Union Jack there, but they hid it behind a tree. So 2 Saltires of Ukraine, 2 Lion Lamberts, and a Union Jack behind a tree. So that's the way it should be. Apart from Union Jack. Yeah, it is Inverbeg, that's right. And Glen Douglas, if you go up there, if you've watched, which you probably shouldn't have, Threads, that's where the nuclear bunkers are. All underground. They don't look very big, but I'd imagine they're entirely underground. Because we're now in the region of this is for anyone who's thinking, oh, nuclear weapons are great. Oh, they just keep them somewhere. They keep them. It looks like this. We're basically, this is Loch Fyne. This is Loch Lomond, but a couple of lochs over when you get to the sea lochs, Fast Lane, Coolport, and is it 300 nuclear weapons? Each one 100 times more powerful than the Hiroshima bomb. Are all kept underground, slowly leaking into the ground, and it's like, no way that should be in any way allowed, but we're governed from another country that goes, oh, that's fine, oh, you can keep them there. There was a thing to try and move them to somewhere in England, but they couldn't find anywhere where it was safe. It's like, alright, but it is safe being 5 miles outside the largest city in Scotland. Yeah, that's fine. Right. You know, it's like you're talking about there's a place somewhere down. I don't know, I suppose I'd imagine they would have looked at Wales first before they looked at England. There are some sort of pretty sparsely populated coastal bits in England that we're looking at, and it was like, oh, but there's 50,000 people that live within the blast zone. What about the 3 million or whatever it is that live in Glasgow that live completely within the blast zone? Ah, no, but they're Scottish people, so they don't count. Fair enough without them out. Point when I remember running out of water in the Land Rover and going down and filling up a water bottle in the loch and putting it into the radiator. I filtered it through a t-shirt so there weren't any lumps. Also, they got rid of the sign for Firkin Point because it was obviously causing too much hilarity. I was just in that car park at the right. But I'm saying, you know, the scenery has started. We're not there yet. One of the best things about going to the chalets, you got to go on a thing called the Rest to Be Thankful, which is a high pass through the mountains, Lord of the Rings style, and that's like proper epic. Not proper epic if you compare it to, like, you know, going up Glencoe or something like that, but I mean, proper epic for only about an hour away from home. There's a road, and I think I always decided that, see, if you manage to just stay at 50 all the way along the road, you're doing all right. And I'm managing just slightly more than 50. My brothers were talking about, he's got a new wetsuit to try out and all that, and it's like, to be honest, I can't. I'd imagine my old wetsuit's probably in a box in the chalet or in the bunker, but I don't think I'm going to bother. I think that's just tempting faces. I'm going to pure ripping through it. That's just going to make it worse if I go in for snorkeling or swimming or something. There's no skiable boats, so I can't go water skiing. The only skiable boat's mine, which is in Dunoon, which is looking again like I'm not going to end up getting out my boat this year. It used to be different going back 20 years. I used to go out the boat all the time. I was in tons of pals who were, you know, students as well, so they had weekends off, and it was like the impetus to actually go out and do something was so much more than now. When you get old and you get lazy, you think, oh, I'll just sit here and do nothing, rather than the effort and the exhaustion of actually getting everything organised, setting up the boat, driving it all the way up here, launching it, going out in it, which, let's be honest, is the best thing in the world, and then having to come back and all that. I need to see if I need to borrow the chalet again. Dad doesn't use it every weekend. I could book it. See if I can book it when the weather's like this. Okay, there are clouds, but it's not raining, so therefore good weather. Now we're coming up to Tarbert. Tarbert means a thin bit of land between two bodies of water, and Tarbet, which is this one, is between freshwater, and Tarbert with an R in it is between two bodies of salt water. So this we're coming up to here is just between. This is Tarbet, the name of the place, but it's also a Tarbet. If you've ever read the book Espadere Street, there's a bit where it's like about a rock star who, I think he's in rehab or something like that, and he goes and tries to sort his problems and sits in a hotel, and it's that one on the right there, and he says there's a wee window, one of those top windows is the one that he actually describes in the book, in the Tarbert Hotel. I think his record company sends him there. Aracher, which actually I saw on Facebook the other day. There you go, Inveraray, Aracher 2, Inveraray 24, Loch Gilphead, Campbelltown. The Waverley, which is the world's last ocean-going. Might as well talk to you now because there's no 20 minutes and 30 seconds. It's about time for a cut, which does it automatically. The GoPro cuts all my videos into 20 seconds, 20 minute odd things, and that's converted church. Used to be called the Black Sheep, isn't it anymore? So Aracher Alps, a yes flag and an Aracher flag. Yep. Quite different from the bunting and stuff, which was all over Colville. You know, for the Ghibli. I didn't see any of that at all. Didn't go specifically looking for it, and maybe wasn't out in the areas where that sort of thing was popular. But things are different here. I always remember there used to be a wee thing on the right here, a wee bed and breakfast type house just before this bridge, and it had a sign outside it that said Colour TV, the Ballyhaden Toll House. All the way along here is where, if you look up, there's a map, after the Jacobite Rebellion, showing you all the British Army stations, and there was about, we would have passed about 10. This was prime Jacobite location, so obviously the British Army would have soldiers here who would go and kill and rape and make sure that anyone who wore tartan or played the pipes or any of that shit would just be killed or hung, drawn and quartered or something like that. And the mountain you can see up above, I think we're at the stage where I can call these mountains, mountains Gandalf, is called the Cobbler, because it's apparently meant to look like a cobbler making shoes sitting at down here on the left. Down here is the Pit Stop Diner. I built a hotel down here. The things are starting to get nice now. Yeah, so the Waverley, the last ever sea-going paddle steamer, redid its first ever journey, which was to Aracher, which used to be a wee seaside town. You'll see it from the other side of the loch. There's like what used to be big jetties and stuff. This is, you know, back in the Victorian era. I think it was like was it only 100 years? I think it might have been more than 100 years anniversary of this thing. And this shop here on the left is the last place you can buy bucky. Well, it was maybe 10 years ago. There's a shop here and I went in and I was up here, do you sell Buckfast? And the guy behind the counter went, Steve, or whatever his name was, called him in from the back. These guys are wanting Buckfast. Where are you off to? Got off fine. Okay, and he brought it, and the bucket was hidden beneath the shelf. And there you go, rampant saltire. This is making me feel really great actually. That shop just in the left there, so it may or may not still sell Buckfast as the last ditch opportunity. You don't have any bucky by now, that's where you go. I knew this car was turning off, he's been going so slowly. And these bikes, that used to be the most expensive petrol station in the universe, but it's not actually that bad now. I always remember it was like £1. A pound for petrol? Gee, no, I can't believe you could spend £1 on petrol. And now we're paying £2 for petrol. Angle that round a little bit to the side maybe. So that's Loch Long. It's a sea loch. And if you've ever seen Danger Man, which is a Patrick McGowan film, like about espionage and shit. I think it's maybe from the 60s, but it's still black and white. There's a bit where he's driving a wee sports car along this road, and on the left there's an old submarine base. This is where the Americans used to like testing. So that's Aracher, you can see there, which is quite a big landmark in these areas. You look at the size of these places and you go, alright, Aracher is literally, what, 30 houses maximum? Something like that. All the places up here are like that. There's no... What is that? You're not seeing anything because of it. And I always remember there used to be an Avon Sea Rider that used to move out to this caravan park on the left, which my pal Michael tried to stay at, and they weren't very good. They weren't very accommodating. This is the build-up for the bit I like. The bit where you start going, right, here we go. and I don't have the Krull music, which I used to have. My CD changer is the last disc. That's disc 6, disc 12. Always, I used to listen to Krull. You see, there's like things like that, old military shit floating about everywhere. And there's always divers here as well. I think it's because it's very deep. That's probably why it was good for a submarine post as well. There's also a possibility of finding like spent torpedoes and stuff, and apparently the propellers of these of said torpedoes are worth hundreds of pounds if you can find one. And apparently I was in a diving club, and one guy was saying, just watch it when you're looking for these things, or try to get some money, try to take. And it was a guy had a spike off a mine, you know, the big one looks like a chestnut, had a spike off one of them, and it was made of solid brass or gold or something like that, you know, worth, I don't know, 50 quid, 100 quid, something like that. And this is what it all looks like from now on. Stunning. And when he got back to the van, you know, when he got back in the boat, it's like, oh no way, you got like a spike off a mine, where did you find that? He was like, oh, he bashed it off the mine with a rock. Madness. I assume that's a true story. I wasn't actually there, but the guy in the dive club talked about it. Art Garden Hotel. It looked like a hotel. There you go. And this is the road that they will not fix properly. They're not allowed to. So every time there's heavy rain, this road gets washed out, and you have to use the old military road down the old West Thankful. Also, if you, what's that? Oh fuck! I think I hit it. It looked like some sort of vole crossing the road. Stupid thing. I tried to avoid it. There's lots of cars. Really, you don't want to be a vole crossing the road here. So there we go. This is now as I'm going up the Rest of Me Thankful. As I said, if you've seen Restless Natives, which if you haven't seen it, watch it. It's brilliant. They do a car chase up this very hill, where they're getting chased by the Japanese. There's the police and then the Japanese, because the motorbike that the guy they use for doing their raids is a Suzuki or something like that. So Japan goes like that, takes it, and they're chasing after them, and I don't know what's going on here. Alright. Oh, what a place to break down! Right on a blind bend. There's a mad river you go up here as well, which is lots of it, so it's great for going swimming or something. But I am going to have to do my own a cappella version of the Krull theme when I go around this corner, because that's when I always feel that I'm there, sort of thing. one time I remember going up here with we're talking, I must have been about 10 or something, and this got snowed in and we got stuck in the car here for like 6 hours. Not quite here, just a little bit up, and eventually the police, like about 8 folk, physically came round and lifted the car up, spun it round, and then got us back down the hill again. This is the road that always gets wiped out. If you look at the bottom, the old military road runs down the bottom. If you're a motorbike, you don't need to wait for lights. But they should just fix the thing. Stop these wee... You can see all the landslips up the right hand side. And there's obviously diggers working on it. Just fix it, do it right. Well, it used to be called the Rest and Be Thankful because cars used to struggle. Obviously you can see the glen down on the left there. It's not so steep going up this way, but that way, that's a hella steep bit at the end of the glen. And all the old cars used to, they would overheat unless you reversed up, so cars used to have to reverse up the Rest and Be Thankful. Then when you got to the top, you would rest and be thankful that you'd made it there. So it's not really, yeah, it's pretty epic. Actually, up there as well, if you're watching Restless Natives, there's a bit where they stop and kind of hide behind a rock, and then you see all the police cars going past. It's just up at this loch on the left hand side, which I can't remember what it's called. Not that I ever knew. And I'm sure that up there, that's got to be a swimming pool. That's got to be a big plunge pool up there, definitely. Oh, how am I still on? What's the screen come back on again? Let's actually line it up now. I always wanted to climb that thing there, whatever it is, don't know. Oh, my throat's ripping. I even got a bottle of Havonia dry and tickly cough somewhere. Sitting there, oh what? This will be the fast forward bit. This must be quite a big set of lights. That's been a long time. That's been and that's the cars just coming from the other side. So we're down to single track. Fantastic. I'll pause this just now then. Or no, I'll leave it so I've got the whole journey. I'll turn it back on again once I go past these lights. Rock on. And we're back moving again. Yes, it was just here. There's a bit where on the left hand side of the road, I assume it's still there. It was kind of rocks, kind of raised up a little bit. And that was where we were stuck for 6, 8 hours, however many hours it was. I think that time has with just snow drifts and stuff. Actually, there's no way they're making back into the road. This is permanently single coil. Well, into Scotland, let's get this road built properly. This is the main road to up here, the only road. So that's where you have to go up the rest of Loch Lomond, because the road ends at that Charter Hotel. Well, when I say it ends, the big white road that you can drive at 50 mile an hour ends there. It was right here where we're stopped. That's all, and that bit on the right was not all rocked away like that either. Erosion, global warming, etc, etc. Climate change is not a fallacy. It is true, it is real, I can see it in my lifetime, and I'm not really that old. There's a wee loch up here. There actually used to be a bacon roll van here, which did I see it from the bottom? I can't remember. It's a good place to stop for a rest here, and good for a place for the toilet, although obviously you're talking about pissing in a bush. There is no toilet. A bus stop. Yep, so just up on the left there is where they hid in Restless Natives. Looking down over this wee loch, which one day I will take a boat out on, because I've always wanted to and never done it. Does this still count as the Aracher Alps? I'm actually feeling quite emotional being here again. I don't know what I'm going to be like when I see my loch. It's been too long. And just when you go down here, the glen that runs up to the right doesn't have a road in it, and it's like, I always think that's like the valley of the dinosaurs, used to call it when I was a kid, because it's just a big thing. You go, I wonder what's at the end of that, I don't know. When I say there's no road, there's like a forestry commission track or something. Nothing you're allowed to drive on, I don't think. Well, when I say allowed to drive on, I mean there is no such thing as trespassing in Scotland. As long as they're allowed to stop you going in if you're doing damage, like say, you know, there's like, I don't know, the sheep are lambing or something, then you're technically can be causing a problem. But if you're, this is quite downhill. We're actually coming up to where I get stopped the first time I ever drove a truck by Vosa. The ferns have grown up, the bracken is high. I always thought this would be an amazing place for a studio. This wee house on the right here, which I'm pretty sure was falling to bits, which might not even still be there. There's a nice wee bridge on the other side of that. Piles of construction stuff for trying to repair the road. And I remember those trees on the left being planted. And every year they seem to get bigger, and now they're a full forest. Roadworks 800 yards. Super. Roadworks 600 yards. Super. Maybe I get stopped because I was driving a 7.5 ton truck at over 40 miles an hour. That was when the police let up here. Yeah, I just wanted to see what's in the back, and I was like, oh shit, there shouldn't be anything in it. I'm going up to Oban to pick up a load of fish. It should be an empty van, but to be honest, I picked it up an hour ago and I don't know, so I'm just hoping there's not going to be anything in it. And the policeman was like, no, just stand there as I opened the thing, and he made a big shocked expression on his face. And he went, oh my god! And I was like, what? Is that? No, nothing. It was a pallet truck. It was like, but it was obviously, if you're working here, you probably get a slightly different outlook in life. Less time to be a bastard, but more time just to check that I did have a licence, I was allowed to be driving the truck, which I did, and I was, and then have a wee joke. Then on you go on your way. And those hills you can see in the distance are on the other side of Loch Fyne. Tantalising, depending on whether there's trees that have been cut down or something, there might not be able to see Loch Fyne for another few miles. Home is where the heart is. I don't think that's where my heart is. My heart's up here. And I have started felling those trees. So there you go. What's that? 30 years. The trees on the left. They plant them, they chop them all down. I believe there's even wind farms coming up as well, which never used to be there when I was a kid, obviously. Not that I've got a problem with wind farms. Much rather that than a nuclear generator. Craigens Inn, 9 miles. Craigens Inn is where Ian Fleming wrote all the James Bond books. So you'll see, last time I was there we went in the boat and we were all pissed. We went to the pub and got a plate of chips. Lasted about 10 seconds, got another plate of chips. Lasted about 10 seconds. Ordered another plate of chips, and the guy just gave us a big fuck off bowl of them, so we would stop us fucking ordering chips. He just gave us so many, it was great. If you go straight on, that's Inveraray, Oban, all the rest, and the left is Strachar. don't know why we never got it. Imagine this was your drive to work every day. It would be amazing. And the right is Cairn Dow, which is a... There you go. It's Cairn Dow. The tallest tree in Britain is down there. It's down at the bottom. It's I can't remember. And the second tallest tree is about 30 feet away from it. You can't see it though because there's all hundreds of trees around about it. You can see the bottom of it. You can walk up to it and then kind of try and look up it, but you can't see the top because of all the branches. I can sort of see the loch a little bit on the right. But once you get up here, anywhere up here is amazing. I would want to be right on the side of the loch though, if at all possible. Actually, oh no, I'll get a copyright strike for it. Did I just take it? I think I'll take the copyright strike. What I think I'm going to do is I'll steal the crawl music and overlay it over all of this, I think. We're coming up to the bit here where you'll see Inveraray Castle, which is actually where I saw the Beastie Boys and Bjork and C6 Steve and I can't remember all the bands. Super Furry Animals? No. They were there, but I went to see the Beastie Boys instead. There was 2 stages. What was the band called again? Polyphonic Spree. It's a real idea of having a festival up here, but I always remember there was a guy when we walked down to Inveraray to go to the, I think to go get a fish supper actually. It was only half a mile away from the festival, and there was an English guy sitting on the beach. And there was up here, yeah, where I? Some comments outside where I was at. Yeah, I'm on this little place. It's like something out of a fairy tale. That is a fjord. That bit, yep. It's called a loch, man. Have you ever seen the Vital Spark? It was often filmed. This is where the old puffer routes, when they would get cattle and stuff and deliver it before roads were a thing really. Parahandy. There's too many trees for me to show you the loch on the right hand side. You can normally see it just at this point. Before you used to always look to see if it was rough or not, and I can see white horses, so it's rough. I'd quite like to write a song called White Horses actually about waves. That'd be good, wouldn't it? And this guy here's never been here before. Whoever it is that's driving at this speed on this road. Because there ain't no shite and Bob's Burgers. No, there ain't no anything to crash into here. This is the fast bit of road. Right, still getting slower. Maybe he's looking at the scenery. I don't know why you would look at it here. This is just boring. Well, I suppose better than most scenery anywhere, but nothing like what's going to be when we get to the bottom of the hill. When we get to my loch. Only one lake in Scotland, the Lake of Menteith. These are all lochs, not lakes. Or you can call them fjords, I suppose, if you're not comfortable with it. That was probably the last bit of... I've got a tendency to think that this guy's registration plate is Strucker. Why is he only driving at 30 miles an hour though? Is there another straight bit here where I can actually go past? Yes, there is. I don't know why you'd be driving at that speed on this road. More dangerous than driving fast. Actually, the plot of land me and my dad were looking at was on the left here. Is it anything yet? Just up there, there's a bastard of a junction to get out of. No, it doesn't look like there's been anything built up there. Oh no, there is, there's houses. There you go. Someone did it. There, and there's a sign here that used to, I don't know if it still says it, used to say chips. I go, could you want to get some chips? And it's like, yeah, it's road chips. It's not, no wild. It's rough. It's in Catherine's caravan park. Pal Richie used to have a caravan here, and I remember going up to the chalet. This is actually the weekend Diana died. We were up in the chalet, and my pal Richie's mum and dad had a caravan in there, and there wasn't a telly at the chalet at these times. So what? Richie's like, we've got a telly at the caravan, we'll go and get it. So we went and got it, and then obviously Richie's mum and dad got a phone call saying, someone's stolen your telly. It's like, who was it? And it's like, four long hairs. That'll be Richie then. So we actually stole it. No, we didn't steal it. We borrowed a telly. Took it back in the way home, obviously. And this guy on the bike doesn't know the trick here. There's an old road which runs along the side of the... Okay, not quite yet. It runs right along the loch side. Starting any time soon. There's Inverary. I might choose a bit with her, so there you see Inverary. You can see past my phone and all that. Inverary being a massive place up here. And coming up on the right is, well, it used to be Ali McCoist's house, and we were out in the wee orange flatcraft boat drinking, obviously, and it's like most of the time when you're out in the boat you just sit there and just enjoy being out in the boat. We weren't going fast or anything like that. We were sitting there, and this is when mobile phones weren't about, so we're on the phone shouting, yeah, it's happening, where are you, it's happening. Oh, we're just at Ali McCoist's house. We're sitting talking away and not realising that although we're a couple hundred yards out in the water, there's nothing in between us, and it's total silent here, although you can hear the car. And then we looked over, and there was Ali McCoist and his kids sitting on their veranda, and then we looked over, they waved, and it was like, bastards. Quite funny. And we couldn't, obviously the boat only did about 2 knots, so we started up the engine and we were still in sight for about 20 minutes. I'm embarrassed that we checked, we're at Ali McCoist's house, totally just up at between St Catherine's and Chicago. Almost there. Almost there. A guitar channel, I don't think I mentioned it, I've got the boot bass. That's the only mentioning of any guitars so far. I've still got a Rev Star, I've literally played for 30 seconds, and a PV Telecaster, which I have in the process of setting up but haven't done any videos on. That's what I could have done today, depends what time I go home at. I'm feeling so much better though. Maybe it's the sea air, or the daylight, or just the shit like that. Come up to a submarine base on the right here, which basically looks like a shed on a raft. It's not there anymore. There you go. So there is no longer the shed on the raft, which I obviously always wanted a studio in. I've used up half my battery power. Probably half the footage, but it's worth it. I believe this is the Craigen's Inn, Stracha, which also used to be a place you could take, like, see jetties and stuff. Now here we are, we're there. This is my loch. This is mine. You can't see it because I'm looking forwards. Ah, well, you'll see it. You'll see it. That was the Greggans in there. Where also there used to be a comedy show. Can't remember what it's called. Filmed in that building, in that hotel on the left there with the monkey puzzles. But it was set there. It used to. I remember it being still open, but I think it's now a private house. Oh, would you look at that? I hope the camera's picking this up. That's the Loch. That's where my boat lives. Or where I go, where I live, where my heart lives. This is actually the main road to Dunoon. So right now my boat is 20 minutes away, but I'm not going to go and get it. I need to seriously think about putting a tow bar on the Panda. I don't think the boat's too big to pull it. I don't know if I could launch it myself. I'm going to try. My boat's right at the edge of the possibilities of being able to launch it yourself. Being just small enough to launch it yourself and just big enough for comfort, so I can get 4 people all comfortably sitting in it without getting wet. Well, obviously you get wet. Sucker. It's kind of a wee bit more up the hill. We're now in. Probably better actually having the thing at an angle. And there's the Staffis, so it's exactly 2 miles from the Bay Cottage. Bay Cottage, really? That does not sound Scottish at all. No new houses on the right now. And we're now on to. It's not single track. It's single track for wee bits. But mostly alright. You can actually see the chalet from here. That's right, you put pontoons out as well for another bit. And the quarry you see the other side of the loch's called Furnace. That time when I said I stole the telly with Richie, my car broke down and I had to park it in Strucker, and we had to walk the last 2 miles with a guitar, and somehow the other car load of us, there must have been 6 of us, 2 car loads anyway, and they heard us coming for, he said, half an hour, because we were walking down the middle of this road singing Wild Horses, is what he said, they could hear. They got to the chalet, we weren't there. I was like, oh, what happened? That was something to do with the alternator in the car. Actually, the battery ran out, I remember, as well. Done some dodgy drives there. Remember the indicators on the Capri when I brought it up here one time with Michael's cousin from America? The indicators broke, the electrics failed, and I figured out that on the way home I only had to indicate 3 times to get back to my house in Lindsay. There's only 3 junctions that I needed to indicate at all the way home, so that was fine. My pal Bonnie drives this road all the time. He goes to Tinnabrew, which is another half hour down this road. So I'm at the chalets, you know the chalets, is that I think so. You must know them. One of the few things you can see. But wait till you see this place, and you'll see what it means. Why I'm so tearful at this exact moment. So this is where I grew up. Like I'd basically just be up the hill, in those bushes, in the water. When other people were watching Saturday Morning Superstore, I was on the beach finding crabs and butterfish and such things. There used to be a pure amazing swing that I made, even just on the right there. So here we go, we're here. I better turn the camera off. There's a white bicycle, what's that mean? Whoa. Here we go. That's our chalet there with all the cars parked outside it. Oh, there's a lot of people kicking about. Just find somewhere to park that's not. Okay, just try and find a chalet that doesn't look occupied. Boats and Range Rovers. we know the people next door anyway, so it should be fine.